Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The morning class was concluded with the statement of what was the vision that Vedanta gives us. Tattvamasi, that thou art, meaning that this acceptable self or happiness you already are. You already are what you are trying to become. Swami, is there any proof about this? That I am really different from what I take myself to be? One pointer we gave this morning, that we are actually experiencing our own self whenever we experience even the moment of happiness. Secondly also, there are many ways of arriving at the nature of ourselves. One way is, if we just observe our activities, we find that in every situation we are related to something or someone. From morning till evening, we pass through a variety of situations. In every situation, I am related to someone or something. Now a person is father with reference to the son. He may be son with reference to his own father. A woman is now mother. She may be wife. She may be daughter. Thus, as the situation changes, it seems that a different person every time comes out from me. Sometimes father, sometimes son, sometimes grandfather, sometimes friend, sometimes a speaker, sometimes a hearer, sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy. All this variety of persons seem to be invoked from me depending upon the situation. Interesting thing is that I seem to be able to shift from one role or one identification to another very quickly. That is, when I am with my father, then I am son, and I behave accordingly, very respectfully and whatever. Then when my father goes away and my son comes, then automatically I become father. And then also I conduct myself accordingly. So as father, son, friend, relative, whatever I'm able to shift from one role to the other without any difficulty. Usually. Sometimes it may not even happen. Sometimes there is a hangover of one role into the other. As when Swamiji was describing, this man was leaving for work. He had his breakfast. There's some complaint about the breakfast. And he made a remark. His wife was not happy about the remark. She said something. He was not happy. He said something. You know how these things go. And then of course, then her father and his father, all sorts of people got involved in that. And when you talk about father, then that's it, He says, you don't talk about my father. Like this goes on. And so it was a very heated argument for a very insignificant reason. The reason is always generally not significant, but there is a lot of stuff which is built up inside. It's just waiting to come out. It's only seeking an occasion. So all you need is to push a little button and a lot of things come out quite out of proportion. The example that I recall at this time is, some of you may have seen in India in the olden days was workshops. There's one motor here and you drive with a belt, one big pulley. There's a big shaft. From there another wheel is running. From there a third wheel is running. There are so many machines running, from this one motor. So you just push one button, that's all you do. And all of a sudden, a lot of activity starts, so many things start working, Similarly also, you just push one little button. You talked about the salt being too much or whatever, just one thing. And then so many things, all of a sudden the whole factory starts, A lot of things that are already built up, they are all coming out. And then here also, everybody, this build-up is there and just comes out. And so there's a big fight. And this man has to go to work anyway. And generally speaking, no event is concluded. It always is left incomplete. And so either you live with some hurt, with guilt, with anger, with resentment, something or the other. So this man lives with a lot of anger. So far he was playing the role of husband, which was, whether he conducted himself properly or not is a matter of judgment, but then he certainly conducted himself as a husband. And he's angry, and then he leaves and he bangs the door, then you know that, see, the husband business is over, now he's in a different situation. So as the situation changes, then the role also should change, but sometimes it does not change, and so when he bangs the door, you know that husband is still present. He gets into his car and the way he again bangs the door of the car, and the way he starts the car, you know that it's a husband that is still, doing this. It continues all along, on the road also. And if one little, extra salt can create so much, then imagine what's going on the road, particularly in a place like Ahmedabad. What all goes on there? There is enough to invoke all kinds of things from you. He shouts and screams at everybody around. And if you're not careful, when scooter wala just, they just go so close to you that there is a scratch on your car, and then so all sorts of things happen. Anger all along. Unfortunately for him, every time he gets to an intersection with a red traffic light and whatever, and then somehow he makes it to the office, still very angry. Still husband is not gone. It's called spillover of one role into the other. That can happen. He enters his office and the secretary knows, from experience, when not to come before him, Goes to his office. So sometimes it happens that the roles all, there is a hangover or spillover of one role into the other. But usually, we're able to change from one role to the other. And therefore a question arises, who is this person? This person was father at this time, he was son at a different time, husband at yet another time, grandfather at another time, a boss at a fifth time, and so on and so forth. So what is he? Is he father? If he's father, then he should be father all the time. Then he should be Jagat, then he must be Jagat Pita, meaning that he should be father. But there is no such entity as the father. He is father only with reference to his child. The father is a relative role, and so also his son. Every role is relative. And that's the reason why he is able to shift from one role to the... So what is he? You can't say his father because then he could not be son. You can't say his son because then he could not be brother and whatever else. So thus when we observe ourselves, then this also tells us something. Question is, who am I? Am I father? No, I am not father, because then I should be father. Am I sad? Then also I cannot say, because then I should be sad all the time. Like this is a speaker, this loudspeaker. I am a speaker, but I cannot be called a speaker really, because now I am speaking, then I am listening, then I am doing something else. So then speaker is just one of the roles. This thing is a speaker. It always speaks. So we can call him a speaker because it always speaks. So if I was a speaker, then I should be speaking all the time. If I was a listener, then listening all the time. But that's not the case. That means that I am someone different from all these roles. Like an actor who passes through one role after the other, as a king and then a beggar and a minister, and different roles he takes. When can he do that? Only when he is different from those roles. And so also, in case of every human being, in case of this person, he passes through different roles, means that he must be different from those roles. Then who is he? Thus, in what we call I also, the I also keeps on changing. As I said, now father, now son, now happy, then happy. Now I am a speaker, then a listener, then a talker, then a walker. Keeps changing. So in the I also there is a changing element. But one rule is that wherever there is change, there must be something that does not change, because change always requires an unchanging platform for sustaining the change. Like the trains which are running require a track which does not run. Then alone the running train can be supported. The river water is flowing on a bed which does not travel, does not flow. And thus, wherever we find change, we can safely assume that there must be an unchanging platform, an unchanging substratum upon which all the changes are taking place. So then here is a person who is father, who is son, etc. That shows that in all these changing roles, there must be something that does not change. So in I, there are two aspects. One is the changing aspect, other is the unchanging aspect. It is true also that we recollect that I who was father am now I who is the son. I who was sitting in the morning is I who is sitting here. I who was talking am the I who is listening. I who was eating is I who is now walking, and so forth. Thus there is a recollection. In Sanskrit they call it pratyavijna, a recollection. I recollect that I who was yesterday am the I who is today. I who went to sleep is I who woke up. That there is also a continuity. That means there is something that does not change, meaning that there is a changeless thread that supports, sustains all these changing roles. Just as in case of an actor also, this actor is the one, who sustains all the roles, whereas roles keep on changing. The actor who sustains all the roles does not change. So what's the true nature of this person? Who is now a beggar, then a king, then a minister. What is the true nature? True nature is one who is in all of them at the same time, who is none of them. Similarly also, what is the true nature of I? Who assumes different roles, that I am in all the roles, at the same time I must be necessarily different from all the roles, independent of all the roles. I must be necessarily an unchanging entity, a changeless entity. So within me thus there are two aspects, a changing aspect and the changeless aspect. But Swami, what is my reality? Is changing is my reality, change is my reality, or changelessness is my reality? The answer is the changelessness must be reality and not the changing aspect, because it is incidental. Just in the case of an actor, this beggar or king are incidental. They can be negated, they can be given up. The beggar cannot be unless the actor is, however the actor is, whether the beggar is or not. Meaning that actor is a higher degree of reality than the beggar. And therefore, actor that does not change is the reality of this person who takes different roles. Similarly also, the I which does not change is the reality of myself. That is my nature. In case of an actor, this wealthy person who is the actor is the natural thing, whereas a beggar is not his nature, is just an incidental. Thus, everything is a combination of the inherent and the incidental. In case of a beggar, the actor is the inherent, the beggar is the incidental. Actor is inherent, the king is incidental. Actor is inherent, the minister, or whatever role he takes, is all incidental. Similarly, also in my case, the changeless I is inherent. The father, the son, the husband, the grandfather, the happy, the unhappy, all of these are incidental. Whereas the one that sustains all the changing roles, that I, is changeless. So what's the nature of that I? Who am I? Well, what is it about me that does not change? There is something about me that does not change. There is something about that actor that does not change. When we were in schools and college, there used to be a competition. I have to say that when I was in school or college, because it may be there now also, but I am not, familiar with it. But those days there used to be a competition of identifying an actor or actress. They would simply give you the pair of eyes, that's all they will give you. From that, identify who the actor is or actress is. And there were experts. People were they could identify simply from eyes. Yeah, this such and such actor, this such and such. What an amount of knowledge or wisdom they had with reference to the actors. So those people who really have that knowledge, they can identify the actor in any country, whatever role he comes in, they immediately knows. Whichever movie he goes, I would be confused. But my little nephew says, Swami, no, he's not a beggar, he's such and such actor. He is in fact Amitabh Bachchan, we don't know, look at him. But in all this beard, how do you recognize? Swami, look at his nose. Certain things don't change. The eyes don't change. The nose does not. Some of these characteristics don't change. What is inherent does not change. What is incidental can change. He can have any kind of hairstyle, he can have big beard, he can all kinds of things. But still, certain things do not change. And if you know that, you can identify the person. And so also about us, there is something that does not change. What is it that does not change? A simple thing. I am father, I am son, I am grandfather, etc. In all of these, in fact, that I am, that does not change. That is constant in every role. So the father comes and goes, father goes, the son comes. The son goes, the grandfather comes. The grandfather comes, somebody else goes, somebody else comes. In all this coming and going, the fact that I am, that does not change. This morning we said that the I is this self-revealing. This morning we are discussing how we always have experience of ourselves. We were saying that it is the nature of our intellect to have an opinion about whatever it experiences. And the reason why we always have an opinion about ourselves is because we always experience ourselves. We cannot but not experience because the I is self-revealing. That I am is self-revealing. Is it not so? Do I not always know that I am under any condition? It does not require any effort on my part to know that I am. You can ask a person in pitch dark also, when nothing can be seen, he cannot even see his hand. Then you ask, are you there? Yes, I am here. But how do you know you are there? Are you there? Let me see. Let me touch whether I am there or not. Let me do something like that to decide whether I am there or not. Do I have to do that? Let me think. Let me ask somebody, That also you don't need, at least in this case. Otherwise, like this person, this man was very sick, and ultimately he died. The doctor gave the certificate that he is dead. You know what they do in India? They prepare this, and he was all tied up, and all of a sudden the fellow woke up, something happened. He said, I'm alive. He said, shut up, his wife says. Doctor said you are not alive, But I do not think that you require somebody else's confirmation whether you are alive or you are there, because it is self-revealing. This is one thing where he does not require his wife's consent, He may require it in everything else perhaps, but this is one thing that I am. You don't require anybody's consent, you don't require any kind of proof. You don't have to see the eye, you don't have to hear yourself, you don't have to think about yourself, you don't have to touch yourself, you don't have to do anything to determine that you are, because you can see and hear and touch only when you are in the first place. That I am is a self-revealing fact. And how do I know that I am? If I ask you a question, do I have a flower in my hand? You will say, yes, Swamiji. How do you say the flower is? Because you are conscious of the flower. Now if I ask you, is there a flower in my hand? You will say, no, because you are not conscious of the flower. You know what it means? It means that the flower is and the consciousness of the flower is, both of them always go together. That flower is and the consciousness of the flower is, both of them always go together. And so the flower, Asti, is at the same time Bhati, it shines in my consciousness. Similarly, how do I know that I am? Because that I am also is self-revealing. That's the reason why I always know that I am. So I'm conscious. So how do you say you am? Can you say that I am all the time I am there? Or I am conscious all the time? In deep sleep state, are you there? Are you conscious in deep sleep state? Vedanta's answer is yes. I am very much there. When I am fast asleep also, then also I does not cease to exist, the I remains there. How do you say that? By the simple proof that when I wake up in the morning, I know very much that I who went to sleep is the I who woke up. Is it not so? When you wake up in the morning, what's the feeling? Oh, a new person has woken up this morning? No. Sometimes we wish that was the case, But then that doesn't happen. The fellow who went to sleep with all his anxieties, stresses, problems, he wakes up with all that baggage, We wish that a different person woke up. But no, I know very much that I who was sleeping is I who am awake. There is a continued I in the deep sleep also. And I is always self-revealing, therefore, that I am, that existence and consciousness are inherent nature of myself. This cannot be denied. So what's the nature of a thing? That which cannot be denied, that which cannot be negated is called the nature. Whatever can be negated is incidental. Just as in case of that actor, the beggar is incidental because when his king is not a beggar, and so the beggar is excluded by the king, and the king is excluded by the minister. Each role excludes the other one, but none of them excludes the fact that he is actor. You take another example of various ornaments. Here is an ornament such as bangle, an earring, or a necklace. So bangle is not earring is not necklace. Each one excludes the other. You know what is meant by excluding? Just to explain, what is meant by exclusion, vyavrutti, or exclusion is, when I am thinking, say, this flower, for example, both are carnations, I guess, but one is, this is pink, this is red. So when I am thinking of the pink carnation, at that time in my mind, there is only thought of pink carnation, not of red carnation. And then when I hold this red carnation in front of me, then in my mind there is thought of red carnation. That time the pink carnation is not there. Thus this red carnation has displaced pink carnation. You follow? When I think of a bangle, at that time the thought of earring is not there, the bangle has displaced the earring. When I thought of chain, the earring is not there, chain is again displaced. What is displaceable cannot be the nature of a thing. Nature cannot be displaced. So is there something in the thought of the bangle, earring, necklace, is there something that is not displaced? Answer is yes, it is a gold that is not displaced. Meaning that gold, the thought of gold is involved in bangle also, in earring also, in necklace also. So gold is the inherent nature, whereas the bangleness, etc., is incidental. In Vedanta they will say that the gold is satyam, whereas the goldness is satyam, bangleness is the goldness is satyam. The bangleness, the ornamentness is what? Very simple answer. Mithya. Satyam, what else can be there with satyam? Mithya. Well, those who are new may not know these words, but other people know. Satyam and mithya. The actor is satyam, the beggar is mithya. Satyam is inherent. Mithya, incident, the inherent is satyam, the incidental is mithya. What cannot be displaced is satyam. What can be displaced is mithya. Just for your information, so you know the meaning of these words, those people who are new, because this mithya is a very intimidating word. This maya and mithya, these words are very intimidating. A lot of confusions exist about them. And that's why I'm just saying, whatever is can be displaced, whatever can be negated, whatever is incidental is mithya, and whatever cannot be negated, what is inherent, what cannot be displaced is satyam. Coming to me, coming to I, who am I? Whatever about I that cannot be displaced or negated must be the true nature of myself. And what is that? I am. And what's the nature of I am? Consciousness. So I am represents existence, and existence also always comes with consciousness. So existence, consciousness, or in Sanskrit, Sat and Chit is my nature. And any conditions, that is always there. Whether I am happy, then also I am and I am conscious. Unhappy also I am and I am conscious. Father also, son also, mother also, whatever the roles are. But these things are never denied, that I am and I am conscious. That always persists under all the circumstances, regardless of time, place and conditions. So that is a nature which does not change in time, place and condition. For example, take the case of honey. Sweetness is the nature of honey. At any time honey is sweet, whether it's morning or afternoon or evening. At any place honey is sweet, whether it is in India or in United States, or even if you take it to moon, wherever. And for everybody, whether I taste it is sweet or you taste also it is sweet. So that it does not change in time, place or condition. That is called nature. What is it about me that does not change in time, place and situation? The Father in me changes, the Son in me also changes, but then that I am conscious, asti, bhati, sat or chit, they never change. And therefore, who am I? Sat, chit is my nature. What's the third thing that goes with sat and chit? Ananda. So in fact, Ananda, what is Ananda? Ananda means happiness. What kind of happiness? Ananda is happiness, no doubt, but what kind of happiness? The boundless happiness. Unconditional happiness is called Ananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda, that is my nature. Swami, you showed how Sat and Chit is my nature. Where did you have this Ananda in there? But then, if you ask, what is the length or width or the boundary of Sat or existence? Does this Sat or existence, does it have a form? Does it have a characteristic? Does it have a boundary? Answer will be Sat or pure existence doesn't have any boundary, because wherever a thing is, existence is. So at all times existence is, at all place it is, and in all things it is. Therefore, Sat is boundless. Chit also is boundless. And what is boundless alone is limitless. That alone is called Ananda or happiness. Sat, Chit, Ananda. That is the nature of the self. Asti, Bhati, Priyam, or Sat, Chit, Ananda. That is the nature of the self. Who am I? Satchidananda. So who is playing all these roles? Like the actor playing different roles, who is playing the role of father and son and whatever different roles that we play throughout the day. Who is doing that? The I. Which I? The unchanging I. And what is that? Sat, Chit, Ananda. So that's all. If you remember this, then everything is fine. All that is needed is just to remember that I am Sat, Chit, Ananda. Just as the actor has to remember that I am actor. Even while playing the role of beggar, the actor should remember I am actor, playing the role of beggar, and I am not beggar. So it's very interesting. Even when the actor is when the beggar is begging, from one standpoint he is begging, from the other standpoint he is not begging. From the standpoint of onlookers, this fellow is begging. From his own standpoint, he is not begging. There is no beggarliness in him. Because there is an awareness all the time that I am the actor. Therefore, he knows himself to be a very wealthy person. Even though acting as a beggar, he is a very wealthy person. He is aware of that. And that is why he can freely act as a beggar without any problem. The real actors have no difficulty in taking any role at all, because every role is going to earn him a few more $1 million, and therefore, even acting as a beggar also is going to be richer by a few $1 million. He doesn't mind. Some people mind, because some people do not want to take certain roles. Children, when you ask them to take the role of a beggar, they say, I don't want to be a beggar. I don't want to become Duryodhana, I want to become Yudhishthira. He thinks that by taking the role of Duryodhana, he will become Duryodhana. He will not. But nobody wants to become Ravana and Duryodhana and things like that, because they think that is not dignified. You want to become Rama, Yudhishthira, Arjuna. Real actors have no such problem. That's why this fellow can be now a hero, he can be a villain also. He can be anything, because he doesn't mind. For the very simple reason that he never loses his identity. He always retains identity while playing any role. And therefore, there is a distance that the actor maintains between himself and the role. What's the distance? Distance that comes by the knowledge. The knowledge that I am actor, I am a wealthy person. And that knowledge or awareness remains even when he is performing, acting as a beggar or any other role that he plays. In case he forgets it, then there is a problem. Sometimes it happens. Every time this actor may not be in a great mood. He also can have his emotional problems. He can also have, before coming to stage, perhaps had a fight with somebody, who knows, and therefore he is angry or whatever. So it is possible that while performing the role of a beggar, he may act in a very strange manner. Like this fellow, whose role it was to act as a beggar. According to script, every day he was doing it, nothing new. And so he is supposed to be sitting on the sidewalk, and then he is begging and people are passing by and somebody throws something in a little pot, somebody does not throw, somebody gives him an advice, what are you doing here, what is this, hatta katta hai, you are so healthy, why don't you go and work, and he's a beggar. So he knows, so these are all realities, and therefore he very quietly endures all of these things. Sometimes somebody insults him also, sometimes somebody can kick him also, and then he has pain and he cries also. And so he does all of this. Every day he is doing it. But today what happened, God knows. Today when this fellow is walking by, according to script, he is supposed to give him a kick, this passerby. This fellow is a beggar, he is supposed to receive all the kicks. But today something happened. No sooner that fellow gave a kick, and that was just a show, he didn't give a but then whatever. This fellow got up and gave him 2 punches, and the other fellow just knocked out. And so the curtains come down, and the director comes, what did you do? Why did you give him punches? Why did he kick me? He says, well, that is the script, he is supposed to kick you, you are supposed to receive the kick. So sometimes it can happen that when he forgets who he is, meaning that time the distance between the role and the actor ceases to be there, and the role and actor become one. As long as there is separation between the two, everything is fine. But when that separation is not there, then the actor as though becomes the beggar. And in Swamiji's words, then the problems of the beggar become the problems of the actor. It is the beggar who is ill-treated, but this fellow feels, I am ill-treated. Like this person, hangover of the role hangover we just talked about, Like this person, husband, and then he is angry at his wife. And that husband shuts the door and he starts the car. What does it mean? It means that there is no distance between the actor and the role. So what we are doing all the time is really nothing but playing a variety of roles. For an actor, playing the roles becomes an enjoyable thing, as long as the role remains a role, so that he can enjoy. He can enjoy even playing the role of a beggar, because there is nothing to lose. As I said, there is something to gain for that person. And so, as our Swamiji says, even when this fellow is crying, suppose the role of the beggar requires at some point there are tears in his eyes. Which beggars do in India, when they are begging from you, then all kinds of acting they do, and then sometimes they cry also. So this fellow also cries very effectively. But even while he is crying, tears in his eyes, inside he is smiling because he knows that, see how effectively I am able to cry. How effectively the tears are coming out. Maybe inside he congratulates himself. Meaning that he even enjoys that part of crying. Because he is crying and still not crying. He is begging and still not begging. Because the begging is only confined to the role and it does not affect the actor in any way. The actor remains totally unaffected by the role as long as the distance between the actor and the role is maintained. Coming back to our own example, as we said, from morning till evening, each one of us plays a number of roles. What happens to us? We just proved that the I, what is the nature of true I? Which is inherent, which does not change, which informs all the roles, is Sat Chit Ananda. That is the true nature of you and I and everybody. However, when somebody tells me something, some hurting words, what do? I right away retaliate. You tell me one sentence, I tell you 2 sentences. Tit for tat, right away I react. What does it mean? It means that the insult was done to whom? To the role. The father was insulted, which is possible. These days fathers also, poor fellows, Indian, this generation of fathers or parents, they are in a very difficult situation because their children, they are all Americans, meaning they have that culture, and this generation comes from India, which has a different culture. So when you were growing up, then you had a different kind of relationship with your father and mother. You always looked up to them and you always had reverence for them and you never talked back, and you always, generally speaking, obedience is also a value in India. So reverence and obedience. All these younger people have always reverence for the older ones and they're obedient to older ones also. This is how you're raised. And this is how you think that the children should be. And that's not the value here. There is only obedient fellows are dogs, that's all, nobody else is obedient. And that too, when they are sent to obedient school, that's when they become obedient. Otherwise, there is nobody obedient here, because that is not the culture, that's all. And so we can ask you a question. So if you just ask a little child of 4-year-old, will you please switch off the TV? He says, do I have to? This little thing says that. If you said that in India, you know what would happen to that fellow? But no more here, you cannot do that. He'll call police, suppose. So what happens to the Indian parents is that they get hurt. These poor people get hurt by their own children. Don't mean to hurt them. They just do whatever they think is, right for them to do, because that's what they're taught. Do what you think is right. That's all. That's what the training is. But what is right for that boy may not be right for the parent. That doesn't matter. In India it mattered, whether what is right for me is right for them, and usually I would do what is right for them. That's called obedience. But that's not the case here. I do what is right, so they're honest and do what is right for them. So you say, you don't want to watch TV, but I want to watch TV, So if you don't want to watch TV, it doesn't mean that I should stop watching. Simple as that. So if you say switch off TV, do I have to do that? I don't have to do that because I want to watch it. But father, I don't want to watch it. Well, all right, you can go to the other room. I can imagine this kind of conversations, but so it is possible that the father also can get hurt, the son also can get hurt, everybody can get hurt. You may feel dishonored, you may feel insulted. And these things can make us happy or unhappy. So this happiness and unhappiness that we have, should it really be there or not there? Is it justified that I become unhappy in a given situation? Is it justified that I feel insulted in a given situation? Is it justified that I judge myself as a failure or whatever else I do? Is there justification in this kind of opinion that I have about myself? Theoretically or ideally, there is no justification. Because just as the various things that take place at the level of the role, they do not in any way affect the actor, he remains untouched by them, unaffected by them. And therefore, he can maintain a composure of his mind under any conditions. Even when he's shooting or he's being shot at. It's possible that in a movie or a play, somebody may shoot him and he may die. Even then also, his mind is quite composed under all conditions. He may of course act as a person who reacts as angry. He may act as an angry person, but is he really angry? He should not be. I had actually checked with, there is always a question here, whether the actors, do they really identify with the role or not? So it is thought that you can act well only when you identify with the role. You become one with the role. I asked a person who is authority in this, says, no Swamiji. Good acting is when the actor does not identify with the role. Meaning that even though you act as an angry person, you do not become angry. That is called acting, otherwise what is acting? If you actually become angry, there is no acting. So acting is when you do not become that. So even that fellow in the play becomes angry, is angry but not angry. He's shooting but not shooting. He's shot at, he's dying but not dying. Lord Krishna says, Yenam vetti hantaram yaschenam manyate hatam ubhautavana vijanitaha nayam hantina hanyate. Lord Krishna says, the one who thinks that he is killing somebody and the other one who thinks that he is being killed, none of them knows. Both of them are ignorant. Why? Nayam hantin hanyate, because the self neither kills nor is being killed. So when all these activities are going on, just as in case of the actor, when all the activities are going on in a play, how that fellow does not do anything. He apparently does everything, at the same time he does not do anything. Is it not so? As I said, he is begging all right, but from his own standpoint, he does not beg. He does everything all right, but then from his own standpoint, he does not do anything because there is always a distance between the the role and the actor. Only when that distance is erased, that is when the actor becomes a role, that is when the problems arise. So problems in life arise only when I cease to be an actor and I actually become the role. In which case, all the problems of the role become my problems. Thus, all the problems that we have, such as unhappiness, such as sadness, such as success, such as failure, such as whatever, should we really have that? Ideally, we should not have them. If we were aware of our identity, then we would have a distance between the role and ourselves. So this is an ideal situation. An ideal situation when you play all the roles without becoming the roles. That's a very tall order, but this is how a wise person is described in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare puredehi naiva kurvan nakare. See, right now we are giving you the vision of what Vedanta, the vision of the self, the realities of the life. So first of all, we should know the realities. And most important is, we should know the reality of our own self. Of course, you can always tell me, Swami, then what? So what? Then we will tell you what to do about it. But first it is important to know the reality. First, it is important to know what the goal is. Then alone the journey becomes meaningful. Otherwise, mere journey does not become meaningful. People keep on telling us, tell me what to do. That's all right. But doing something becomes meaningful only when you know why you are doing it. So reason why we are discussing what is the nature of the self is so that at least we know what the reality about myself is. Then what is the means of making that a reality in my life is to live a life in keeping with the realities. So that's the second part. The second part is living a life in keeping with the realities of life. For that, we should first know what the realities are. For that, we should know what is the reality of myself. The reality of myself is that I am Satchit Ananda. Happiness is my nature. Fullness is my nature. Limitless is my nature. How can you say, Swami, limitlessness is the nature because I was just born, a few years ago? Was I not born? Then am I not going to die? Am I not mortal? Am I not limited in time? Answer is yes, something was born and something is going to die. There is something that is mortal. What is it? That is this body. The body had the birth, the body is going to die, the body is mortal. But who are you? Am I the body? And so Bhagavad Gita says, talking about the wise person, what is his knowledge? Navadvare puredehi sukhamaste. This wise person lives in the city of the body very happily. He lives in the city of the body. You know what it means? It means that the self is the indweller of the body. Body is a dwelling. Just as we live in a house, so also this body is like a house, like a temple in which the self dwells. So body is a dwelling place. How about we have these 5 organs of perception, the faculty of hearing and touch and seeing and tasting and smelling, all these organs of perception are there. Am I there or not? Sometimes I say I'm blind, sometimes I say I'm deaf, sometimes I say I'm dumb, sometimes I say I'm lame, but then all these kind of notions in me arise because of what? Because of taking these various sense organs as myself. But am I the sense organs? I am not the sense organs. This faculty of hearing I am not, this seeing I am not, tasting, touching, all of these are the functions that take place at the level of these sense organs. Who am I? I am the one who uses these various sense organs to communicate with the world. Meaning that these 5 organs of perception are given to us to receive the various stimuli from the world, and we are further given 5 organs of action to respond to the world. So these are the tools that are given to us, organs that are given to us. I am the one who uses these organs, is it not so? I feel like listening to something, then I tune up my ear. Feel like seeing something, then I tune up my eyes. Feel like touching something, then I tune up my sense of touch. Feel like tasting something, I tune up my sense of taste. Feel like smelling something, I tune up the sense of smell. Meaning that I am the one who uses these various organs of perception. I tell my legs, come on walk. I tell my hands, come on rise. I tell my speech, come on talk. Thus I am the one who uses organs of action. And therefore, the organs of perception, organs of action, all of these are various tools or instruments that are given to me for performing various tasks. But then I am not them. You have a mobile with you. Are you mobile? Are you a cell phone? Are you a cell? No, your cell phone is something that you use for communication. You are not the cell phone. You are internet, which again you can use for communicating with the whole world. You are not internet. And so also the organs of perception are meant for receiving communication. Organs of action are meant for giving the response. I cannot be them. Am I the mind then? The mind also is nothing but an instrument, is also an organ, an inner organ, which is meant for feeling, which is meant for thinking, which is meant for knowing, which is meant for perceiving, which is meant for creating, which is meant for responding. Mind also is a tool or instrument that I have been given. So yes, something is limited. This morning I said that we feel limited in time. But when do I feel limited in time? When I equate myself with the body, then I am limited in time. Then I am limited in place. When I equate myself with the mind, then I am a limited person. The mind becomes sad. There is no distance between myself and mind, so I become sad. Mind becomes happy. Again, there is no distance, then I become happy. That is because there is no distance right now. But then, if I really maintain a distance, like an actor maintains distance between himself and the role, then all of these become what? They all just become the various instruments for me to do the various activities. I am none of this. All limitations are there, but limitations belong to the body-mind-sense complex. They do not belong to I. The fact, however, I do feel limited, not because I am limited, because I equate myself with what is limited. And therefore, the sense of limitedness that we talked about in the morning, that sense of inadequacy that we have, is not the reality about myself. There is inadequacy, all right, but that's in the body. And what I am trying to do right now is to become adequate at the level of body. And therefore, I keep on, 3 hours a day I go to this fitness center and I do work and lift and all kinds of things I do. So that I become immortal. Impossible. And then I spend 6 hours a day on the internet learning about all kinds of things, getting so much information because I want to be all-knowing. Impossible. I am trying to become limitless at the level of body, at the level of mind, intellect, senses. Impossible. I am trying to do something that is impossible to accomplish. And therefore there is so much frustration in life because what I am trying to do can never be accomplished. My desire to become free from limitation is a genuine desire, but the method in which I am trying to fulfill that desire is not right. Because whatever we do is based on the one basic wrong assumption. What is that assumption? I am inadequate, I am limited. Based on that assumption I am doing everything. When the basic assumption is wrong, everything else may be right, but the answer cannot be right. Is it not so? Very famous statement. When the basic assumption is wrong, all logic is right subsequently. But still, what we do cannot be right. So understand that our perception of ourselves, our opinion of ourselves is not right, is not based on the reality about ourselves. The reality is different. Happiness or freedom is really my nature. Unfortunately, I take myself to be bound, helpless, or an unhappy person. And whatever I do is based on that opinion about myself, which is a wrong opinion, a wrong perception. Meaning that this non-acceptance of myself is not based on reality of me, it is based on an opinion that I have about myself. All that is needed is to change that opinion, that's all. Change the opinion. What's the right opinion? I am Satchidananda. Just change the opinion. How to do that? As I said, it's a tall order to change. That's a transformation that we need to make. Meaning that we should be true to the reality that we are, then there is no problem in life at all. As we said in the morning, all the problems originate from the sense of inadequacy that I feel about myself, and the solution is in the knowledge that I am the adequate self. I am the problem and I am also the solution. Which I am the problem? The inadequate I is the problem. The adequate I is the solution. Adequacy is my nature, therefore knowledge of I becomes the solution. In order for us to do that is the next step. First step is knowing the reality about myself. Second is how to conduct myself so that this reality, what my true nature is, becomes a reality for me. Right now, in spite of my being limitless, I have no advantage, no benefit of that. Meaning I don't have benefit of what I really am. Because there is a constant self-denial. So how not to deny myself? And how to accept myself? Says Ishavasya Upanishad, Asuryanamate lokaha andhena tamasavrata tamste pritya vigachanti yekecha atmahano janaha. See, human being's life is described by Upanishad atmahana, self-hurting, self-destroying or self-denying. There is a constant self-denial going on in my life, a constant self-disowning. So how to live a life when there is an owning of myself, a respect of myself, an acceptance of myself? That's what also Vedanta teaches. That is called yoga. So two things Vedanta teaches us, like Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. Brahma Vidya is a knowledge of reality about myself, about the world. Yoga Shastra is how to own up the real nature of myself. So that is the next practical aspect, how to put this knowledge into practice in our life. So that will be the subject of the following classes. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.